guys, you're welcome to today's video. It's been quite some time. I've really had a lot of engagement, okay, and that's why I've not been on YouTube for some time, but today I'm back, and today I'm going to be looking at what will help every student to graduate and graduate well, okay, and that's your project report writing. I've talked about how to go about your project report writing. So whether you're doing your undergraduate program project, or you're doing your master's thesis or your PhD dissertation, you actually need to know this, okay. Now if you have done your materials and methods, you've conducted actually your analysis, everything, and here you have your result before you, the next thing you need to know is how to discuss those results. Yes, because you can have a very good result, but if you can't really discuss the result, I mean, it will just make a mess and a blunder of the whole thing. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to do your discussion when you've obtained your results. So join me as I take you through how to conduct a proper discussion for your research work. So this video will be in 3 parts. First of all, I'm going to give you like a general rule around discussion, okay, and then I will also take you through the content of discussion, what your discussion is supposed to involve, and then I will also take you through the structure of your discussion. And once you get these 3 things right, I mean, you have a perfect discussion. Okay, so the first rule number 1 says be concise and don't be repetitive. Okay, so you don't need to repeat words over and over in your discussion. Just be concise and go straight to the point. Make your points clear, and then don't be so verbose by using so many verbal expressions. And even in your discussion, you don't need to be poetic. Just go straight to what you need to discuss. Now the next one is avoid using jargons. Just use words that are related to the course of discipline that you are discussing. So don't just get borrow words from different other disciplines and add up to your work. It's going to make it so cumbersome, and it's not going to be interesting, especially for your professors in your area of study. The next one is that you need to follow a logical stream of thought. So you don't just gather this and gather the other one. So in your discussion, it has to be sequential and it has to follow a logical stream of thought. And then you need subheadings to help you organize your discussion. So you don't just run your discussion all through verbal expression from beginning to end. Let's take for instance like 2 pages, 3 pages. No, you need to put them into subsections so that it will help you arrange, to organize your thoughts and then your flow. So you just need to have subsections in your discussion. Now I'm going to take you through the content of the work. I mean, what is actually expected in your discussion. Now for the content, first of all, you must know that your work has to include the explanation of your results. Okay, you need to explain the results in detail, or what we could also refer to as interpretation of what you obtain. So you should note that should be part of your discussion. And then another one is that you need to reference previous research work. Remember, in your literature review, you cited a lot of persons that said this or did this and observed this and the other one. So in your discussion, you need to call up some of those literature to actually confirm if it flows or if it tallies with your own results. Okay, so in your discussion, you need to tally your result findings with some other literatures that you considered earlier in your work. So this must be in your discussion. Also, the results that you have, there are findings that you found from the result. You know, having a kind of, do your result have a certain pattern? Does it flow through a certain pattern? Now get those patterns together. Those things are your findings. They are supposed to be found also in your discussion, where you try to discuss it, where you try to extrapolate whatever thing that you were able to find out, like the patterns you found out in your results. This should be part of the discussion section. Then the next one is deductions. Now that you have these interpretations, what deductions can you make out of the whole thing? Okay, so it's not just enough to tell us that you found this pattern, you found the other pattern. Now from the knowledge of what you know, especially what do you you have, especially what you got from your literature review while you reviewed various literature to form a kind of background of what you're about to embark on. Now you've actually gathered some knowledge. Now from this you are going to make some deductions. So in your discussion, be sure that you have deductions from your results and your already established knowledge in the field. Now the next one is hypothesis. Now it's like a more general claim where you try to look at possible conclusions from what you have done, and then from the results that you have, you're trying to make a hypothesis of what you think it's obtainable, what you think from your results, what you think this is actually the end thing. Okay, now I also want you to know that in this hypothesis you try to also look at what other persons have done, like I've said earlier on, in your literature, and in some cases you now tally your work where you start telling us that your result confirms what so person did earlier, or your result is in the opposite to what so person had done earlier, possibly because you used this or possibly because you used the other one. And then you should also be thinking about recommendation. Okay, you need to recommend what you think could be done in order to advance that particular work you have done, and what you think could be done in order to create another kind of invention or innovation in that particular research work that you have done. And that is for content. So you need to be sure that these things are part of your content. I repeat, those things are the explanation of results or the interpretation of your results, the references to previous literatures that you've cited or you have referred to in your literature review, and then you need deductions should be there where you have to deduct from what you have done and the patterns that you saw in your results, and then the hypothesis of what you found out, and also the recommendation of what you think that is the thing, of what you think it's obtainable, or what you think people further research should be conducted upon, or the things that you think that when this research is done the other way around, this is likely going to be what will be found. So these things must be in your content, your discussion content. Now the last one I'm going to talk about is the structure. What is the structure of your discussion? If you have a very good content but your structure is not well arranged, it's going to be a mess of the whole thing. So what about structure? Now first of all, you need to think about your discussion like a pyramid, an inverted pyramid rather. So wherein you start from the general knowledge downwards, so you start streaming it down to the specific things that you're talking about, and to this effect you need to answer the problem statements. You need to give answers to the problem statements you stated earlier in your work, in your introduction. So those problems that you stated, you need to answer them. Also, you need to know that in your discussion, you can arrange it based on these problems that you stated, or you can also arrange them based on the objectives that you stated in your chapter 1. You had your aim and objectives, so you can turn each of those objectives to subsections wherein you discuss the results with respect to those objectives. Okay, now the next one you need to know is that you need to use key terminologies, key terms like you used earlier in the work. So those key terminologies you use in introducing the work, in talking about the literature of the work, you need to also imply them and use them also in your discussion. The next one is that you need to describe your patterns and principles, okay, and the relationships shown in your results. So you need to also describe, and that should be part of the structure of this discussion. And then you need to include unexpected findings. Were there things that you found out in your work that you weren't expecting this? You also need to include them as part of your a part of your discussion. And most importantly, before concluding the discussion, make sure you identify possible and potential limitations. Were there limitations that you observed in the work? Were there limitations that you felt the work was not able to cover? You also need to include them in your discussion, okay, because that is actually what will propel your recommendation for further study. And if someone else is taking up a study in that line, the person would actually know the measures to take and the measures not to take with regards to that particular area of study. And then you need to also know that you're going to end this with a concise summary, a summary of the entire work that you have done. Everything will be summarized in a summary section, or what could be referred to as an executive summary, where you try to like summarize all that you have done, especially with your results and your discussion. So if you have these things in your head, you'll be sure that you're going to have a very good discussion in your research project, in your thesis, or in your dissertation. So if you actually enjoyed this video, I would like you to comment. If you learned anything from this video on discussion, on project discussion, I would like you to put up a comment on the comment section and let's know what you got from the video.